Hi everyone, welcome to another race analysis video. As you can see from the intro, this is a race that didn't go particularly well, at least in that little bit. This is round 7 of the Super Series. I'm racing with Rocket Racing. This is the Masters Cat 2. The race started really badly. Honestly, it was terrible. We lined up what we thought was going to be at the front of the grid, and then when they let us onto the course, they let us in from the back, and so we all ended up right at the back of the pack. When they did let us off, they only gave us a few seconds warning, and I actually wasn't on my bike when they started counting down, so I'm scurrying a little bit, and that's why I forgot to turn my Garmin on. The course is an L-shaped course with 2 hot dog corners at each end. There's a little bit of a dip through the middle. The hot dogs are pretty easy, they're fairly wide, they're not too serious, but each one was raced really fast, and we were punching out of them at just about full sprint. Then there was about 300 metres from the last hot dog to the finish line. I'm sitting 5th in the series. Tom Baxter's leading with heaps and heaps of points ahead of me. And then there's 2 guys from ADX, Todd Rolton, who's just ahead of me here, and Nick Underwood, and then Jason Tattersall's also a point ahead of me. So this hot dog is the one at the bottom of the course. You come in pretty fast and slow off a lot of speed, and then a big kick. This is slightly downhill at this point, and it starts rolling uphill at about here. And then there's about 200 metres left to the start-finish line. The first few laps were raced absolutely hammer and tongs, although it slowed down after about 10 minutes. So let's have a look at how the rest of the race went on. So we're about 7 minutes in, and the race situation is there's 5 guys just up the road on the right. We've started moving to the front. Darren's going to bring me right up to the front and try to chase this down, and just at the same time as he gets me to the front, Nick Underwood launches his attack, and this is now really dangerous because Nick Underwood, if he gets up into that group of 5, that's a group that's really likely to go all the way to the end, and Nick Underwood's going to get a whole lot of points. And at this point he was sitting 17 points ahead of me in the series, so I really needed to A, beat him, but B, beat him by quite a few spots. So Darren's leading me to the front. He's doing a big turn going after Nick. One of the Norwood guys is following through, and at this point Nick's turn with Darren in his wheel has effectively brought back the little break. So I'm going into this hot dog basically in the front group, and then this happens. So once again I've crashed in the Super Series, and you can see the whole race going by me. The bike was a bit of a mess. The rear derailleur was bent about 20 degrees, so I was losing a few of my easier gears. And it would fall off the 11 if I did go up that high, but fortunately I could take a lap out, and I did that and managed to get back into the group. So this is back at the pits. The commissaires gave me a go ahead, and I was able to jump back in with the main peloton. So it's pretty lucky today. I crashed a few weeks before this at Wallaroo, and unfortunately the bike was unrideable at that point. The handlebars weren't pointing in the same direction as the front wheel, and I had a bit more injuries. This time, just a bit of the graze on the arm, graze on the ankle, but the bike was able to get me to the finish. So we're coming into 2 laps to go. The race has been really hot up to now, but it's slowed down a bit and it's bunched up, and as you can see there's really nobody in control at the front. There's a couple of guys just a few metres up the road, nothing too threatening at this point. I know the big teams don't have anyone in that. I'm sitting a bit too far back, and as you can see I moved up a little bit there trying to get a bit closer to the front, and at this point it really strings out, and I get a lap just really sitting in the wheels. Now there's a strong tailwind down this bit. It's a headwind sprint for the finish, but for this little stretch I'm just as happy to sit in the wheels and see where I get to in the last lap. It always seems, at every hot dog corner, it always seems to reshuffle, so it's not really as important to be right at the front going into the hot dog, because it always just bunches right up. ADX coming to the front, and you can see in the red there's a few guys now a few seconds up the road, and big Tom Baxter in the red, he's actually going to do a bit of the work to try to close that, and this suits me down to the ground, because with no ADX in the green up the road, if Tom Baxter's going up the road, ADX is going to have to close him down, and that's going to burn up some of their matches. So the race situation's alright for me at the moment. I'm maybe a few wheels too far back. There's a few guys up the road who aren't really any big threats to the GC, so I don't need to worry about them too much. But the big sprinters are still ahead of me. You've got Louis, whose wheel I'm following right here. He's probably one of the longest sprinters, got one of the longest sprints. Tom Baxter's leading in the red, and then you've got Todd Rolton in ADX in the green, who I think is this rider just here. That's right. So once again, coming into the last lap now, and I've realised I am too many wheels back. I'm not really in a good spot, and I'm a bit worried at this point about whether I'm going to make it. But remember I said this is a tailwind down here, so I decided to do a little bit of work just to try to get up the front. And as it happens, the race slows down right about now. We're all good. Rolton hops in, and then you can hear Baxter. He's asking me to let him in. Sorry, Tom, not going to do that. And then out comes Louis on the right, and he launches it to the front to get into the hot dog on the front. Rockets into the corner and slips out, and he don't know how he managed to keep that up, but he does. Markov on the front here, he starts leading it out, and then the sprint's on. And this is really early. I wasn't planning to start sprinting properly until about 150 metres to go, but Rolton's lit it up. At 100 metres I come out of his wheel and lay everything down, and fueled entirely by rage and fury, I managed to get around him by the very end. So we can have a look at that again. This is with the benefit of Louis' camera. So the vision on the right's from the guy on the green bike, and you can see me at this point just coming across, moving up a little bit. And you can see Rolton first of all cutting Baxter off, then me cutting Baxter off, and then Louis decides to go to the front, and here he launches it, and then from my camera you can see him coming around, and I'll let it play out to the end. Have a look. At this point it's just from Louis' camera. This is from one of my teammates at the finish line, and you can see just how close it was. And you can see Louis coming through in 5th, which is amazing given that he unclipped at the top of the hot dog. Anyway, great course, great race, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.